Welcome to Sports Biz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis, with my new man behind the glass, Kevin, and we got Sarah Ann in the studio. Let's get right to it. You know, listen, the Yankees were off yesterday, so I guess that's a good thing for them because the Yankees are, like I've been saying for a couple of months, this team is toast. The Yankees have no one you want to see. At least I think that way. Last year, maybe you wanted to go see Tanaka. This year, you could care less about Tanaka. CC doesn't have it anymore, and that contract's 3 years, another $75 million. The leading hitter on the Yankees. I mean, if I had a live studio audience here, I would take a guess. Who could that be? That's right. Alex Rodriguez is leading the Yankees with a .286 average and playing so many positions. He's DHing, playing third, playing first base. And I'll tell you, interesting, I was with Herb Williams of the Knicks yesterday, and we were talking Yankee baseball, and he brought up Alex, the shortstop. I never even thought about that. You know, we forget that Alex was one of the greatest shortstops of all time. I remember there's a great photo I have it hanging in my house, autographed by all three. Very tough photo to get. Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, Nomar Garciaparra. And the reason why it was a tough photo to get signed by all three, because you can get Jeter all day long, you can get A-Rod pretty much all day long. Nomar Garciaparra, the problem what happened to him, he did a deal with a company called Upper Deck. And I think it was a 1,000-piece autograph deal. And Nomar felt they got over on him or got too many autographs, didn't like the price they were selling it for. And pretty much he never did another autograph signing again. And these photos that are out there, again, like I said, I have it hanging in my house. One of the few things I do have is one of those photos. But it brings me back to when Alex was with Seattle and considered or on his way to being the greatest shortstop of all time until all the steroid stuff hit. But Alex Rodriguez leading the Yankees in hitting. And, you know, let's go down the Yankee lineup a little bit and talk about salary and how bad they are playing. Alex Rodriguez, like I said, is hitting .286. Brett Gardner, who they just signed to a 4-year, $32 million deal, .261. Mark Teixeira, another guy making $20 million a year. And Mark is hitting .268 as we go to tape. Brian McCann, the great catcher that the Yankees brought in, he's going to be the next savior. Oh, he could be the next captain. He's a Yankee kind of guy. He's batting .200. That's right, he's batting .200. Who else we got on our list? Let's go to Didi Gregorius, the new Yankee shortstop. Now, again, you cannot compare him to Derek. I get it, and I never will, and nobody should. He's batting $172. He's at 172. Who else we got on our list? Let's go down to Beltran. Remember him? Who is a borderline Hall of Famer? Switch hitter? 171. I mean, should I continue? I mean, why is anyone going to go to Yankee Stadium at the prices they are at to watch a team you don't want to see? Years ago, the Yankees would spend this kind of money on talent and always have a guy you want to see, a player you want to see. There's no one there. Let's look at the upcoming series as I continue with the Yankees. Adam Warren. Exactly. You're like, who? Yeah, Adam Warren is pitching tonight against the Devil Rays. Tomorrow, you know this guy, Masahiro Tanaka, okay, who we all know is one pitch away from Tommy John surgery. Let's look at his stats for the year. Oh, Masahiro Tanaka making $22, $23 million a year. 1-1. Okay, that's not bad. He got a win even though he let 5 runs the other night with a 7 ERA. That's right, a 7 ERA for a $25 million a year player. And then Michael Pineda, 1-0 with a 5.11 ERA. So that's the Yankees' 3 starters with a $240 million payroll that, again, who is going to see them? And the ratings on the YES Network will definitely show people that because these games are in Tampa, and the only reason why anyone goes to Tampa is to see the Yankees because that's a whole nother story how bad it is in Tampa with their attendance. Yankees are going to have a big problem. And like I've said before on the show that I saw in the paper that they're doing advertising. This isn't on Groupon. This wasn't on StubHub. Actual Yankee advertising in the New York Post, $5 and $10 seats. Okay? to go see a Yankee game. Because like I've said before, the only way the Yankees can be embarrassed is like they were last year with all those legend seats, but those are the rich people at 4 digits a seat. That's right. There's over $1,000 a ticket to go see a boring baseball game with nobody you want to see. The other tickets for the regular people like us are the ones the Yankees are embarrassed about, because those are 50, 100, 150, 200. I guess a little more reasonable for the regular people to go see. With those being empty, that'll be bad. The Yankees are going to have maybe 30,000 seats a game. Imagine, 30,000 seats to see a Yankee game. The traveling show will not be there. Yankees are in trouble, and I've said this a lot. Let's move over to the Mets, because now if the Mets may feel the Met people think they're going to take over the town, with the Mets on a 6-game win streak, the Mets are 7-3. Let's look at their rotation going into the series against the Marlins in beautiful sunny Florida. Tonight's Bartolo Colon, 41-year-old Bartolo Colon, 2-0 with a 2.77 ERA. Then tomorrow, you got the Rookie of the Year, Jacob deGrom, 1-1 with a 1.46 ERA. And then the rock star himself, the new superstar of New York, Matt Harvey, who's 2-0 with a 2.25 ERA. So just being a baseball fan, if you want to watch baseball this weekend and you're a New Yorker and you're looking to watch something you want to watch, who you watching? That's right. Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. You're going to watch the Mets. I'm going to look at this Yankee team. So hopefully at the end of the month, my intern Andy and our producer, who didn't give me any information this week, just so everybody knows, Andy did nothing for me. It's okay. I can do it myself. Will get us the numbers and the ratings for the Mets and the Yankees for the first month of the season. Because I really want to see that. Because people are not going to be watching the Yankees. And one last thing I brought up on last week's show, but the Yankee money machine doesn't stop. The Yankees, Forbes came out with the list 2 weeks ago of where the teams are worth. The Yankees have moved in to the #1 worth team in all of America over the Cowboys, because they were right up there last year with the Cowboys, 1-2-2-1. Yankees went from a worth of $2.5 billion to $3.2 billion. Now, Forbes is Forbes, so it's tough for me to say what the heck is Forbes talking about. But the Yankees go up $700 million when they went from back-to-back non-playoff years. If you go back to Mr. Steinbrenner, and I totally agree with him because that's how he built this Yankee team, is unacceptable. But the Yankees go up in value, and the reason why they probably went up in value in the last 2 years is you had the Mariano Tour, which, got to see it. That was the got-to-see tour if Mariano was home or away, and the Derek Jeter Tour. Now there's no tour. There is the no one's watching and no one's going to games Yankee Tour. Let's move on and let's talk a little NBA basketball. Playoffs are starting. We know what everyone's got. We also know from probably about first 2 weeks into the season that the Knicks will not be in the playoffs. And then when the Knicks winning a game down the stretch against the Hawks, it ends up that the Knicks, instead of going from the worst team in the league and get most opportunity to get the #1 draft pick, now went second. Because the T-Wolves ended up having 16 wins and the Knicks have 17. So there's another thing that happened to the Knicks when the Knicks are another team in big trouble. But again, it's a sports business show, and I've said this before. Playing at the Garden, the 212 area code, the Knicks and Rangers, it really doesn't matter if they stink. And they've stunk for years, except the Rangers have played a lot better in the last few years since the King Henry Lundqvist came to town. Because 212 area code is the place where everybody is going to go. They're going to entertain their clients, restaurants. They don't really do the Broadway shows because you can't really talk at a Broadway show. You can go to a ball game, talk all you want, eat all you want, drink all you want, and it doesn't matter what's going on the floor or on the ice. Yeah, you're a big fan, you want to know, and you hope they're winning. But at the end of the day, a lot of business is going on in that Garden. There's a lot of corporate dollars there, and they will always, cha-chang, cha-chang, make money at Madison Square Garden. So again, Knicks can stink. They're going to make money as a team. I did bring up last week's show, if you were watching, that the MSG came out with the statistics for the ratings for the Knicks. The Knicks averaged, that's right, you're going to be blown away here. Well, you probably will agree, because the Knicks stink. The Knicks were averaging 14,000 homes watching Knick basketball. Can you imagine? There's 8 million people living in New York, and 14,000 people were turning in, and that's not even saying beginning to end. That means they just tuned it in at some time. So maybe they're like me, tuning in with like 2 minutes left to see the Knicks lose, because you know they weren't winning. And even if they were winning, you weren't even like, wow, this is great, because the basketball was terrible. Interesting thing, I was with John Starks and Herb Williams of the Knicks yesterday, and they both were telling me, listen, nothing anyone doesn't know. We got one player. You got Carmelo Anthony. Rest of this team, you got nobody. They are really starting from scratch. And the one thing that Phil Jackson kept saying, we had to restart the whole team, had to break it and start from scratch. So what does that mean? Why? You won 54 games 2 years ago. You won 37 last year. So that means you win 37 games and we got to start from scratch? No. If you won 15 games like this year, we're saying we're starting from scratch. We wouldn't have to do that with 37 wins. So that's what the Knicks are. It'll be a long, long time for the Knicks till they get even close to a championship. Might make the playoffs one year, but not championships. So in the first round, the Brooklyn Nets are in. They got in the last game of the year. Some very strong comments by Paul Pierce in ESPN Magazine a couple of days ago. Just killing the Nets organization the year he spent with them. No leadership. I don't know what the heck they were doing. He came over with Kevin Garnett thinking that they're going to be able to make a run for a championship. Him and Kevin both feeling that Darren Williams is a superstar and D. Will is so far from a superstar. Probably the most overpaid $100 million athlete around. He can go down as one of the biggest busts. This guy don't even care about playing, and you can see it on the court. And those guys being in the locker room felt the same way too. So the Nets are going to be playing the Hawks. They're out. They're losing in 4. They're just not good at all, the Nets. And Brett Yarmak, who's the president and CEO of the Barclays Center and the Nets organization, came out with a little dig to the Knicks, as he should, and said the only place to watch playoff basketball in New York is Brooklyn. And he's right, but I wouldn't be so proud. You went in with, I think, with 37 wins. You're in the playoffs. If you were in the West Conference, you wouldn't even made the playoffs. So I wouldn't get that excited that you're in the playoffs, because you got a team with the highest payroll, with the highest luxury tax, and you guys stink. You don't even play. So Brooklyn's going to lose to Atlanta. Cleveland's going to beat Boston. Chicago, Milwaukee's an interesting series, but Chicago's going to beat them. And Toronto, Washington, I like Washington coming out of that. Then you have Golden State, New Orleans with my cousin, Anthony Davis. That's right, he's my cousin. I see him at picnics and stuff like that with the unibrow. He's a baller, okay? That man is a player. I'm going big here, and I'm saying they will upset Golden State with Steve Kerr, the head coach, who nicks the Knicks, and they won over 60 games this year. I said that's the big upset right there. I think New Orleans will beat Golden State. Houston, Dallas, I don't think Dallas is beating Houston. The Clippers, the Paper Clips at the Staples Center are playing San Antonio. You know something? San Antonio's the best team in basketball, okay? I think San Antonio's going back and winning again. They just play the best team basketball with all unsung superstars. Again, I think San Antonio is back. Portland, Memphis, I like Memphis in that series. So to me, like I said, and I said in the beginning of the year, I thought San Antonio go back-to-back. I believe it's going to be San Antonio, and you like this one too, and I'm picking Washington to lose to them in the finals. I know I'm going out on a limb there, but that's where I'm going. Staying with the NBA, I got to tell you, my MVP, and I know there's plenty of people out there looking at Steph Curry. I'm sure there's plenty of people looking at James Harden. Both very well worthy. I got to go at Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook has just had war on the NBA. This guy has just been a man-child, taking over games from the beginning to the end. Last game of the year in the first quarter, I think he had 22, 23 points. This guy is unbelievable with Kevin Durant getting injured this year, Serge Ibaka getting injured this year. It was all Russell Westbrook. And he missed like 6 or 7 games. The guy is going to lead the league in scoring. The guy had a monster year. And that's another team that's 5-6 games over 500, which will not make the playoffs. So I don't think Russell Westbrook will get the MVP, but let me tell you something. In my opinion, he is the MVP of the NBA. Let's get into a little hockey. Rangers won last night, 2-1. Islanders won. They won 4-1. So you got Rangers-Pittsburgh. I like the Rangers to beat Pittsburgh. I think they'll beat them in 5. Islanders-Washington. I like the Islanders in 7 because Washington's good. Washington's a very good team, and they got Ovechkin, who's a sniper. This guy can score with his eyes closed. Guy led the league in goals, led the league in points. He's one of the best players in the NHL. And the only reason why the Rangers beat the Capitals last year in 7 in the opening round because Ovechkin did not score. He was just shut out by the Rangers. You got to shut this man out. If not, he could beat you by himself. Canadians, I like to beat Ottawa. Tampa Bay, which is another team with 100 points. I was talking to somebody the other day. I think it was more 100-point NHL teams than ever. There was 5 or 6 teams had 100 points in the NHL, and a couple of teams that had 90 points did not make the playoffs. And for years, we would always make fun of the NHL and say everybody makes the playoffs. Well, not this year. In the Western Conference, St. Louis, Minnesota, I like St. Louis. Chicago, Nashville, I like Nashville. And Anaheim, Winnipeg, I like Anaheim. And Calgary, Vancouver, I like Calgary. I think it's going to be Rangers, Nashville in the finals, and I like the Rangers in 6. That's all for this week's show. It goes quick. I want to thank Sarah Ann. I want to thank Kevin and everybody else out there. SportsBiz with LD. I'm your host, Larry Davis.